The Jobs EMP ability has two stages. During the first stage, the Jobs is frozen in place and it beeps like the item EMP. Then there's an electrical visual effect, and stage 2 begins. During stage 2, all enemies who are within range of the ability are frozen in place in the exact same way the Jobs was in stage 1. The maximum range of the ability is roughly a floor or a story on, say, highways or the center area in Origin. As you'll see here, these two got frozen. If they were any further away, they would not have been frozen. So that's the maximum range of the ability. A frozen mech is affected in three ways. While frozen, a mech cannot fly, they also cannot walk, and their ability to boost is severely hindered. They can still aim, shoot, use items, and use abilities. There's a good example here of how much he can boost while under the effects. You can see he was still under the effect, he was still slowed down, but he can move a little bit. The ability has some interactions with the EMP item that are important to note. There's the obvious, you freeze someone with the ability, so you get kind of a free shot with the item, and now they're helpless in quite a few ways. They can't move, can't shoot, can't activate their own items. But there's kind of some weird edge cases to note as well. For one, when you are affected by the item, you can still activate the ability. So, say, point blank EMP, really common scenario, both people are unable to shoot and everything, but since you can activate your ability, you can freeze them, and then when you guys both get the ability to shoot again, you've got an advantage because you can move, they can't. The third thing to note is that when you are in stage 1 of the ability, if you are hit with the EMP item, stage 2 just does not happen. It's all over. So you won't get the effects of your ability if you're hit with an EMP during stage 1. Really important to know. So don't do it in too obvious of a spot against someone who you know is running EMPs. In addition to the EMP, other items to note are the shield and the scanner. The shield allows you to protect yourself during stage 1 of the ability and not get hurt so much when you can't move. And the scanner allows you to set up really good ambushes where you're just hiding around a corner, you activate the ability against an unknowing enemy, and they basically can't avoid it at all. The Jobs has two primary weapon options, the RevGL and the EOC Repeater, and the secondary is always the Corsair. The EOC is my personal preference, but once again, that's personal preference. So play whatever feels right to you. The grenade launcher is definitely better for spike damage. If you want to concentrate on getting ambushes, freezing somebody, and then hitting them with as much damage as possible before they can move again, RevGL is the way to go. I just like the EOC because when they're not frozen, I find it a lot easier to hit with. The spike damage available to the RevGL is quite a bit. I've seen people do plenty of builds where they use like failsafes and freeze people right next to them, deal a bunch of damage to themselves, deal way more to the enemy, and take them out in basically a single use of the ability. Any light mech that gets hit with the ability while you're running the grenade launcher is probably just dead. There's a couple more things about the Jobs EMP that aren't quite as intuitive as the rest of the topics we talked about. Another player basically had to help me figure out the gist of this, because I'd have some instances where, say, I activate the Jobs EMP and then I fall onto some enemies, and those enemies just don't get frozen. What I didn't realize is that the ability, the effect goes off centered on where you were when you activated the ability, not where you are when the ability actually starts. So what happens is that if you press the ability and then you fall, the ability activates on the spot centered back before you fell, for instance. And it also does some interesting things involving your momentum that I'll be showcasing here in a moment. But basically your bet goes kind of ragdoll in a sort of way. So if you say do an air dodge and then activate the ability, you kind of go farther than you would if you hadn't activated it. So you'll see that's an air dodge. I didn't touch anything else afterward. This is the EMP. So you, for some reason, go way farther. Like your mech just carries its momentum better. But you got to do it right away, because you'll see in this one, like it was too late and I just fell straight down. But yeah, if you do it early enough, holy moly, you go far. And throughout the video, there have been a lot of examples of me doing this little forward hop move and then activating the ability. Like right there. And I have the Air 180 installed so I can kind of turn around and be ready to shoot him. Who is hopefully still behind me there, because we kind of just passed each other, so they kind of want to stop and turn on that spot, and that's where the EMP is going to activate. So there's a couple of other edge cases that I really wasn't able to get footage of, and they happen not very often, but when they do happen, they're kind of exciting. So say you activate the ability and you fall and you drop on somebody's head. Well, you've just managed to like keep them inside a range of your ability by jumping on their head at the same time. You get like kind of a double whammy as far as like holding them in place, which is always nice. There's also some weird stuff where if you air dodge and activate the ability and then hit like a ramp, sometimes you go flying like really far off the edge of the ramp. I wasn't able to reproduce it, but it's happened plenty of times when I wasn't trying to record it, of course. Going into a custom map, I wasn't able to reproduce it either, so just rough. I'd also like to thank Williamson for helping me understand that the ability goes off where you activate it, not where you are when it actually goes off. So that was a huge difference that like changed the way I thought about the ability completely, and really allowed me to like do some creative and fun stuff that I at least find fun. So sorry anyone who doesn't find it fun to be on the other end, and that's basically all I got. All the information. Go out there, play jobs, get used to it is the first part. People say it's clunky. I have no idea what they're talking about. Have a good day.